the Countfabula and Expressions. What
Mhm.
prompted you to form those two songs into one track?
Um, so originally when I started writing the track, Count Fabula, it was originally the track, and then I, I so as you're building on the RS, I mean it's kind of hard to explain, but like you as you kind of like patch through, and it you can kind of build your song, from one to the next, okay, and then Count Fabula basically started over here, and then I had a whole another idea for how Count Fabula was going to be down here,
Right.
and it turned into a completely different song and a different sound, but it was using the same kit, a lot of the same beats, a lot of the same sounds, but had a totally different feel coming out of it. Made me just pull the totally different idea, pull the totally different vocal, um, and I just sort of went with it. And really I can remember the specific day where I actually like, you know, where I actually like recorded it. It's like that's what it's gonna sound like. Like, oh my God, like that's actually the song.
Hmm.
And I mean I still have it to this day, and I still listen to it like all the time. But but the song itself, I mean I was just chilling in my room with my one monitor that I had cranked all the way, and I was like, I've got to write these vocals to this. And the vocals themselves weren't really, the idea wasn't completely like there, but I remember it was like probably like maybe 5 days since I had jammed, and I hadn't even like came up with a vocal idea, but like I kind of had an idea.
Hmm.
And I hit play on the RS, and I went through the entire thing, and it was like pretty much seamless, like me just like spitting out the vocals. And then I went into Expressions, and which was a totally different track. It was just kind of like, oh, just kind of pulled down into like this weird like abyss of like my inner emotion. And I remember like sort of fixing my eyes on a shelf, and sort of seeing like this 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 tube of toothpaste, and it's saying Expressions whitening with extra herbal mint. And I immediately was like, I kind of like latched onto that. Just like, man, like so many times I feel like like impossible for me to smile and things like that. It's super emotional point in my life. And it really kind of like held on to it, and it just kind of came out of me, I guess, more than anything. So I think, that track specifically is very important. And I think that I chose for that track to come out first, because I think that that was kind of the moment where, or those two tracks, I should say. And I decided to keep them together because that's kind of how I originally played it, and how the original idea came out, to answer your question, finally. And, but I think that the reason why I chose that to come out first, and as a single, was because that was like kind of like the breaking point where I was like, this is my sound. Like this is what I sound like. And yeah, I mean, it was all from that one jam session, I guess.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I kind of figured something like that happened where, um, or you were talking earlier about how you like to just have songs flow seamlessly.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I always I kind of, I don't know. It's like, oh, they kind of have the Expressions and Count Fabula kind of have this really weird relationship together.
Hmm.
And Count Fabula makes me think of Count Dracula and other spooky things. And
Hmm.
then you have something called Expressions that's more emotional, and you can tell when you listen to it.
Hmm.
So it kind of has this juxtaposition to me of like
Hmm.
material and emotion, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes any sense, but
Yeah.
I found that really interesting.
I think that, I think, you know, really, for, Count Fabula, um, I think that, I think that, really, because like honestly, how some songs like the name is actually like like one of the lyrics like in the song, and Count Fabula was one that was not like that. It was kind of more of like how I felt, and in the time, and I mean, I guess I know, I think I feel like good enough to say that this is sort of what I was feeling when I was writing Count Fabula, or what I was feeling when I was writing Count Fabula. The actual lyrics was was that I was feeling really like contained and sort of trapped inside of like what I explained on Bandcamp is sort of like a group think, and which in my opinion, I tend to, I feel like I find myself a lot. I don't know if that's just me, mental issues or whatever. So it's kind of feel like, it's kind of tough to sort of navigate without like, feeling like I'm in sort of stuck in some sort of like group think, or being on the either the receiving end or the distributing end of that
Hmm.
is kind of like what I said in Bandcamp. I mean, I really do believe that. Um, but I think in that it made me sort of feel like that I like when I named it Count Fabula, is that kind of the same way with Count Dracula. It's just like, I guess having Count Dracula in mind, is like, the way he says goes type deal. It's like you're not messing with that, creature,
Right.
type deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Only and obviously I wasn't Dracula, in the time I felt a lot more fabulous, it was like a lot more expressive, like with my, I think with my clothing and the things that I did in life, that
Right.
I kind of like felt a lot more fabulous, I guess. That's kind of how the name ended up being. That was at the
Cool.
time. But then yeah, and then the expressions actually really just really kind of about something totally different, just like I said, just how like one train of thought leads to another. Sometimes you find yourself in a
Yeah, yeah.
in an utter like downward spiral like of thought that you know expressions is sort of what that is, but
Yeah.
kind of
Yes.
that downward thought. Yeah,
That totally makes sense now about how one thought can turn to another. Yeah, I
yeah,
definitely that's clicking in my mind right now,
yeah,
just knowing that those songs.
yeah. And I mean, I think that's like, I mean, I think more, you know I think really in the end, this kind of like the way I think my mind works. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people are the same way, it's not just, I'm not the only one out there, but for me, you know, I mean, I can be super happy one minute, and then the next minute I just like, I feel like I'm off the deep end. So,